Hey, what's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent, and often I do a lot of critical videos, rants, reviews, top 10s list videos. I do a lot of stuff. I do a lot of stuff where I say a lot of words talking about video games. I don't know. It's pretty cool shit. Anyways, guys, Riot just announced a bunch of things that a lot of people are excited for, at least controversial. They're talking about it, and I thought, you know what? I gotta make a video. I gotta slam down what I can, my unique voice, my unique take on things, and you guys probably want to know my thoughts and feelings on this, but a little bit of bias going into this. Do I like League of Legends? Yeah, it's probably my most played game of all time, but it's not a game that I actively play every single season, nonstop, all the time. It's just when I do play it, I go hard on it, and I love characters like Yasuo, we got Thresh, and pretty much everyone made by that designer. Lee Sin's actually really cool. I really like the high skill ceiling, mechanical characters. I love League of Legends, and I love jungling. Jungling in League is so fun. But so I do like League of Legends, and my thoughts on Riot. Whenever I've personally had an issue, they've been pretty good. I know there's a lot of drama and controversy around Riot Games. I even actually interviewed with Riot Games one time, so I don't know. I think I'm not a fan of Riot, but that might become the case if some of these games turn out to be half decent. This could be really, really good, or they could pull a high res, which we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. It's going to be on a per game basis, but it could go great. It could go horribly wrong. So far, they've only focused on League, and then suddenly they're going to try to balance all of these other things, and it's not even just gaming. So. Yeah, I guess let's go ahead and talk about that first. The non-gaming thing, and that's going to be the anime. It's not really an anime because it's not Japanese animation, but then again, Avatar is totally an anime. But it is an animation. And if you guys have watched the animations, or at least a few of the animations of League of Legends, you notice that there's like a very particular way that they animate, and it is highly stylized, and generally I think it's not too off-putting because it is very music video-ish. It's like they're literally music videos, but some people might have some problems with this sort of extended animation style for an entire show or movie. And, I think that is something to be kind of a little bit weary of. But at the same time, as long as it's not shit, low FPS CGI, thank God it's not. And as long as it's not just the usual anime style, that's pretty cool too. I think that this departure, this very unique animation, just overall aesthetic and then literal animation style, oh man, I'm really excited to see how it turns out. And you know what, even if it is a little bit nauseating, then you know what, I'm totally fine with that, because League has such like really ridiculous, fantastical elements. The way they could do their fight scenes, the way they build their cities, especially like Piltover, things like that. It seems so vertical, and it kind of reminds of maybe like some 90s like cyberpunk anime where there's just like so much detail that it almost makes you sick to your stomach. I'm totally cool with that. Actually, if this can bring about like, that evocation of that sensation of like intensity and that intrigue that normally is in like hard sci-fi possibly, or cyberpunk, or I think really high fantasy obviously, animation, well then I think it's going to combine all of that, because that's what League of Legends is. Anyways, League of Legends is sci-fi, it is steampunk, it is fantasy, it is like all the things, and then of course they have this crazy animation style. So anyways, am I excited for it? At first, I was gonna watch it and I was gonna hate on it like almost all of these videos and all these announcements, but honestly, god dang, I'm just too excited. It's something that it looks innovative, and coming from League of Legends, if you've watched their shorts before, you know that they always hint and tease at a bigger, greater, stronger world and lore. And we want to go deeper, but of course that's what they are. They're teasers, they're trailers, they're just for fun little music videos to announce a new character. But god dang, we're finally gonna get finished off here. Happy ending, I think, with this animation. So yeah, it's called Arcane. I think it is something to be excited for. We got to see how the writing turns out, and of course how that animation style feels in the long run. But to be honest, guys, as long as it's better than the Dragon Prince and like all the other CGI anime, then yeah, I guess we're gonna be good. All right, next up in order of hype that I want to talk about, and this one's a little bit worrying for me personally, and we will discuss that. It's just the fact that the game looks a lot like a lot of Chinese FPS in terms of how it controls, how it seems very static. I mean, if you look at games like Overwatch or even Team Fortress 2 to an extent, and especially Paladins, you see those games and, or I mean, you can compare it to Halo or even Call of Duty. There's so much movement and production and overall like almost like cinematic sort of experience when it comes to everything. Despite all those games actually being sports, there's like a lot of oomph and feel to everything. Even actually, if you go look at other modern tactical shooters such as Rainbow Six Siege, there's a great deal of detail when it comes to basically the video aspect of the video game. And I know it's kind of weird. Somebody who's so critical about game design talks so much about graphics, but graphics do matter. And anyways, I'm just saying, this game just instantaneously reminds me of Counter-Strike, which is actually a very, very old game, and designed in a very specific way, I guess. But it lacks a lot of modern trimmings, even, Counter-Strike Go. It really reminds me a lot of Chinese copycat games, and it reminds me a lot of Crossfire. And I think that's on purpose. I think the overall diminished production value to an extent, it is meant to actually appeal to Chinese players. This game seems like it's like, hey, you guys like Crossfire? We're going to be the new Crossfire. That's instantaneously the way it looks, because guys, we know Riot's got money, but it looks like with all these different games, they are kind of divvying it, up the production value between all of them, maybe possibly a little bit, but I haven't seen that with any other game. It's really with this game though, specifically. So I mean, even look at Paladins, which was honestly kind of a thrown together game even at this point now, and it still has, that kind of like Blizzardy, Overwatchy kind of flair and feel to everything. And this game just seems very static. So that's it. That's what it reminds me of. But at the same time, a double-edged sword, that's kind of a good thing, because that means it's going to run on basically any machine. That's how League of Legends was originally designed, is that they wanted to be like a high skill ceiling, very mechanical, but, easy to understand at the floor level and easy to play for any machine game, easy on the eyes, runs great. So they want a tactical shooter, for people who basically can't really play Rainbow Six Siege. They want, a new Crossfire, but they also they want to step into the hero shooter genre because they got such experience creating abilities and balancing around this, and of course they can make a sport around it easily. So they want to design a game like this. Now this game's going to be directly competing probably with Hi-Rez's new hero shooter, which is also in a similar vein. It seems to be kind of a tactical, lower budget-ish, free-to-play shooter that is definitely emulating that same style. So that's going to be exciting. I knew there was going to be a resurgence of this genre because it's been like a decade since we've had a really good push from the West of actually well-produced, free-to-play shooters like this. Dirty Bomb was an attempt. And at first glance, I thought this game was going to be Dirty Bomb because that was also kind of tactical. But no, this title seems like it's going to be much more focused on Crossfire with abilities. Now, some people might say, well, it's Counter-Strike with abilities. It looks like this game's going to have characters. I don't know if it's going to have exactly a Counter-Strike system of acquiring new abilities and new weapons through the rounds. If it does, awesome. That would be really cool because we almost have no games like that. So that would be cool. If it's a Counter-Strike hero shooter clone, I'm fucking game for it. But even if it's a Crossfire clone that has, hero shooter abilities, you know what? I'm actually cool with that too. And I think that's fine. I'm glad that it's not a Gigantic clone, I guess, in a way, though I really miss Gigantic. I think League of Legends could have done an amazing Gigantic clone. Whatever. I'm glad it's not Battleborn. I'm glad it's not Overwatch or Paladins. This is a game that, again, it's a double-edged sword because it's very obviously like this is a Chinese shooter, but it's been a while since I played those kind of games. You guys remember all those games? I'm sure we all played growing up. We played Guns the Duel, even though I know it's not like, I don't think that game was Chinese exactly. It might have even been Korean. But I'm just saying, that era of Eastern free-to-play games that might have been pay to win or not. It might have been way worse than I remember. But yeah, Guns the Duel, Ava, Crossfire, and so just a million billion more. But yeah, this game, I think it could be pretty cool. I like the low time to kill. Hopefully it does focus on team tactics. Hopefully, I mean, it is a tactical shooter. That's the way they're promoting it. And one thing that I want to close on is I want to say, I hope it's competitive. It probably will be, But the fact that they took almost half the trailer's time to just talk about how they're going to focus on netcode, how they're almost attacking other companies for having shit netcode, which I know I do in all my reviews. Like, I couldn't play Titanfall 2 because I was like, God damn, this netcode sucks. Though nobody agreed with me, then nobody plays it. And no one ever was like, why doesn't anybody play it? Fucking wonder. Anyways, so yeah, like, when a game actually runs great and it feels good, you get your Fortnites most of the time. Apex, it runs great. Versus other games, everyone will play the ones that feel a little bit better, that are a little bit more competitive, a little bit more serious. So yeah, even if it doesn't have the spectacle of other hero shooters, as long as it's gonna play better than Paladins. So yeah, rest in peace, Paladins. Between Overwatch, Rainbow Six, all the other hero shooters that have come and gone. Yeah, no, I think this one's gonna be the one that can definitely stick around if Riot really gives it a shot. And even if it doesn't in the West, this game's gonna be big in China. All right, I'm just going to throw this one out here because it's real quick, because I am excited for it, but at the same time, I don't have much to say in terms of controversy. This is going to be League of Legends Wild Rift. So ever since Vainglory released on mobile devices, which is actually, I just mentioned that in a top 5 video of free-to-play games that refuse to die. Vainglory is actually doing pretty good, and it's even cross-platform with PC. You can play it on Steam, though it's got mixed reviews on Steam, but it's really good on mobile. Anyways, whenever I played that game, I realized the potential to have full games on mobile devices. I saw the potential. Albion Online. Now we got RuneScape on mobile devices. There's a number of others. We got full action RPGs. A lot of people like Honkai Impact 3rd. I know you guys watched that. It was a bigger video on my channel. And I have a bunch of other action RPGs I gotta play through. And we got Diablo Immortal or whatever that you of course we're gonna love to hate, but it actually might be decent. Who knows? It could be. Anyways, I'm just saying the potential's there. But with League of Legends Wild Rift, this is not a port of League of Legends. This is actually kind of like kind of a remake. It's a remix. So it's not a one-to-one exactly. Some things are going to be changed and tuned in terms of graphics, in terms of physics. I think some abilities might be slightly altered, but basically it's a custom remake of League of Legends. So it is League of Legends, but it is, in terms of like mobile devices, built from the ground up for mobile devices. So that's a good thing. But at the same time, they probably could have just ported it. They probably could have made it cross-platform. I think that would have been more exciting. But at the same time, they probably know they're going to have enough players on mobile and also on console to kind of justify that it's cross-platform between those two, or just they exist in their own ecosystem, and that's fine enough. Because League of Legends is just beyond competitive on PC, so that's just not gonna work, I guess. So yeah, it's kind of exciting, but at the same time, it's we play League of Legends, we know what it's about. It's cool that it's coming to new platforms. Okay, and next up we got this weird game that I think I'm excited for. It's League of Legends Esports Manager. Now, I remember one time I had to do, I think I was working for Attack Gaming. They gave me a code for like football team manager or something, and I was doing some research on it because I've never played a game like this. The closest was like Roller Coaster Tycoon. By the way, if you played Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, please thumbs up the video. But anyways, that's the best management game on the planet. But turns out a lot of people really like these like NBA sports team managers, NFL managers, just manage everything. And I know there's like new tycoon games like Game Dev Tycoon, and I don't know, there's probably some sort of like farming tycoon simulator, airport tycoon. I don't know. There's probably everything. But it is pretty cool to see an esports manager. And I think there have been a couple of attempts at that, if I'm not mistaken, but the League of Legends specifically esports manager, specifically operating with the game's mechanics in mind when it comes to actually managing these teams, placing which players where, maybe favoriting different champions and creating different strategies to run in their simulations. That's going to be really exciting. That kind of came into play with the game I played. I'm still very vague on this entire genre, but all I know, guys, is that this is not going to be for everyone. I can't even describe what this gameplay is going to be like. It's really going to be very spreadsheety. It's going to be very boring for most people. But the few that like these kind of extremely hardcore managing simulation games, if you just research the amount of hours that people put into these games, it is goddamn insanity. So you know what? This might be a jumping on point for me for the genre. Okay, but we got to get to one that I don't know, I'm really on the fence about. Not just because I don't know what it's going to be like, but because I do know what it's going to be like for the most part. Oh, okay, so I just did a video actually on this genre called, I said, why I don't play CCG. And I just don't. I don't play collecting card games anymore. And it's mainly because the main form of progression is through RNG. It's through loot boxes. It's literally through gambling. And I cannot be associated with that anymore. It's cancer. It's toxic and it preys on unhealthy minds. And it literally perverts the core gameplay, which is deck building. If your deck building is entirely built around, I guess, random loot boxes, it just makes it very, very hard to get into the games unless you spend money or you're already addicted and you're whale bait anyways. So yeah, we got a new card game, Riot card game. I wish they didn't make this because in most ways at first glance, it looks like a Hearthstone clone. And I'm sure, just like, Shadowverse and many, many others, that there's some twists and turns that make it cooler or worse. I don't know, or, just different, unique mechanics. And yeah, okay, I get it. I'm going to try it. But for the most part, it really looks like a Hearthstone clone, Then again, even games that kind of depart, such as Gwent, which is a pretty different game. There's some card games that have turns that go at the same time. There's some card games that aren't even card games, where it's more like a strategy game that just happens to use cards as graphics. There's a lot of interesting, very cool titles, especially tactical CCG, such as Duelist. I really like that, and Faria. So guys, I fucking play these games, guys. I play them. I played them, and I'm just saying that this doesn't look different enough for me to really care. Like it'll be cool to do one video on. I'll probably have fun one time, but taking it seriously, no, probably not going to. But there is one thing that is kind of cool about this game. So. Just to kind of clarify, it is a CCG and there are technically loot boxes, but I think that's more of an extra feature. It's kind of a way just to help with the progression versus being the main form of progression. They're very, very much promoting the game as you being able to directly buy cards from the shop. So it's less about just constantly grinding and getting random cards and then maybe using some of their resources or whatever to get a card pack, which is then still random, or maybe crafting one card. You are supposed to be able to buy cards directly, and they're really promoting the fact that it is not RNG progression. They're really promoting the fact that you specifically choose like a class, or in this game, they're called like regions. So you pick Piltover or you pick like Demacia or whatever, maybe the Void. And they're going to constantly release new cards and things, but you really just kind of hyper focus. You pick your class and you just hyper focus and you, I don't know, you just progress in the way that you want. You build the decks that you want. But how much do we believe that? Whenever all these card games, whenever they first launch, everyone's like, oh, it's pretty fair. That's not that grindy. It's pretty fair. You get the cards and you grind them up into dust. It only took me 2 weeks to get the deck that I wanted. Yeah, at first when there's not many cards at all, but then, they constantly spam new cards, metas constantly shift. I don't know. So it could be really fun. It could be cool, but I just don't know. And for the most part, even if it is done very, very well, very, very fair, I don't know, man. A lot of people play Shadowverse as an alternative to Hearthstone. People still play Hearthstone, though there's a lot of drama with that. Maybe it's a good time to announce it, but in the end, I think people really, really like teamfight tactics. I think that's really fair, and I love auto chess games. So, I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts and feelings are in the comments below. And finally, we actually have kind of two things to talk about. We were barely shown any footage of this. Maybe we'll get more stuff soon, really soonish. But I can still kind of infer some things and guesstimate on what we got going on. So the two things are going to be a new fighting game, and we also have a new action RPG. But I'm going to go ahead. We're going to first talk about the fighting game. Basically, this is the most obvious one because a long time ago, there was actually a free-to-play fighting game. And I actually talked to the lead combat designer of this over dinner one time. And it was for Rising Thunder. Thunder. Rising Thunder was an interesting game that really focused on having abilities, kind of. It was almost like, you know, a lot of fighting games have ultimates or supers or something like that, but this game was really less about having all those ridiculous convoluted, really mechanical inputs and having timers on abilities, cooldowns, and having a little bit, maybe debatably more unique fighting game characters, which could totally be contested because I think games like Killer Instinct have both really complex, convoluted combos and abilities, but also still has really, really unique character archetypes. I don't think Rising Thunder actually did unique characters well enough, and also their characters, their design was like robots, and it really, really sucked. Which actually the game designer argued with me is like, yeah, you know, the characters didn't really have much character. Yeah. But since we have the characters and the uniquity, the specialty, the aesthetics, and obviously the special mechanics of League of Legends characters, now stacked on top of what was a pretty decent foundation with Rising Thunder, then yeah. Oh yeah, I don't know if I said this, but Rising Thunder was literally bought by Riot. So it's not just an inspiration. It's like they literally took that team, they took that game, and they're like, this is mine now, yes. And so yeah, just from the very close snippet that I saw, it actually looks very similar to Rising Thunder, but I think we're gonna have, you know, more special fighting mechanics. But it is a 2D fighter, so yeah, there's that. And then we also, it looks like we're going to have a RPG and action RPG, which I'm really surprised that this wasn't like the first thing that League of Legends actually did, and it really was promoting. So I think when a lot of people wanted like a League of Legends MMO, the first thing I thought of, especially with my experience from Albion Online, was that, yeah, it could totally work, but it might be better if they did something more akin to, also because I have experience with Dota 2, Dota 2 custom games. There's actually a lot of really fun co-op, Horde Wave Survival, which League of Legends already emulated and stole, but also they do really cool action RPG seasonal events, and they're straight up action RPG custom games. It's like a little mini RPG that you can play through, and it works fantastically well with those MOBA inspired elements, which MOBA inspired elements are, well, the MOBA elements are inspired by action RPGs such as Diablo. So I feel, you know, I was always like, you know, I would love to play a character like Yasuo in an action RPG. I would love to play a character like Thresh in an action RPG, especially if it's co-op. You know, you can have like supportive characters, which you generally don't in those kind of games. I think Riot could make a fantastic, you know, isometric, top-down, whatever, action RPG. I think it could be good. We still have to see how it's going to be, like how open of the world is, how engrossing is going to be, how cooperative or not is it going to be. Hopefully it is online and co-op. And are they going to, you know, is it going to be fair? It can't be pay to win, things like that. Any company always has an opportunity with these kind of games to be Warframe, which is a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Don't do that. You know, make it fair. Let's go with like a Path of Exile, or yeah, let's go with a Path of Exile. I would be Path of Exile. Thumbs up. You know, have like competitive leagues, competitive PvE seasons, races, things like that. It could be really exciting. But for the most part, isometric action RPGs is something that I somewhat avoid. I am really excited for Lost Ark. But there's a ton of them coming out, such as the new Torchlight. There was Pagan Online, and et cetera, that really tried to kind of are blending MMO and action RPG, but they're really half-assing the MMO. They're not even really MMOs, and they're really, in terms of action RPG, just not quite potent enough to pierce into the popularity that Path of Exile and Diablo really own. So, but in the end, I think that Riot Games, they got the potential to create and craft a really freaking fantastic world. But I will say my hopes and dreams are, I hope it's really cooperative, and I hope a lot of the characters in the game aren't just AoE spam fests. I hope they're more unique, and they have some interesting gimmicks and mechanics that allow for some very cool, fun, cooperative gameplay. Kind of like what we see with the differentiation with weapons inside of Monster Hunter. You know, you can be pseudo-supportive, or even though you're a technical DPS role for all the different classes, you all play different DPS roles. It's very, very interesting. You don't get that in MMOs, and often is the case you don't get it in action RPGs. But this, with their experience playing and making League of Legends, hopefully this could be a chance to make a very unique class and co-op system inside of an ISO ARPG. All right, guys, but that's all I kind of care to talk about right now. This is a long video where I just said stuff and things. I'm sweaty, I am tired, but I'm getting back into the feel of YouTube and things and stuff. But as you can see, my YouTube has been kind of dumpstered. So what I do ask is you put some eyeballs on the Patreon, thanks to those who have recently donated. And if you want to donate directly, I have a link in the description, as well as put a comment. You can donate to that, and I'll actually read that next time I actually stream. So thank you so very much, guys. I am trying to be more critical and say shit that people try not to say. And, you know, I don't care about being politically correct or anything like that. I just want to tell you from the heart what things probably will be like or won't be like. And you know what? I'm going to be there day one when these games launch, right there with you, playing with you. So please check out twitch.tv/Skylent. We'll be streaming that live when that goes down. So yeah, overall, I'm keeping the hype alive. Hope you guys are too. Have fun, guys. I'll see you in the next one.